I spent years wanting to start a podcast, but always find a reason not to start, a reason to put it off, whether that be lack of time, whether I thought I didn't have the right equipment and I needed to get a better setup, whether I needed more training. There was always a reason not to start a podcast. I could always find something better to do. Then I realized something that changed my entire mindset and got me started really, and got me going and got me into podcasting, got me over that kind of hump of lack of time, and something that started me podcasting quickly, and time was no longer an excuse, and I could get a podcast episode out there. I could start a podcast. I could market a podcast. And there's lots of tips and tricks and hacks, but this key mindset is the main thing that gets you going and gets you recording and gets you where you want to be on your podcast journey. Now, a long time ago, a friend of mine told me to get over myself, and I didn't really know what he meant, and it stuck with me. It was many years ago, and it stuck with me for a long time. The situation was kind of irrelevant, but I was organising a trip for friends, and I was trying to get people from A to B, and I was saying to some guys you need to go be somewhere else, and he said to me, get over yourself. And I was like, that's a strange thing to say, and it's a strange turn of phrase, whether it was that situation, but I was kind of taken aback by it. Get over yourself. What does that mean? And why is that relevant to me? And the phrase kind of stuck with me. It wasn't until I was trying to get started with a podcast, and I spent years of kind of frozen, like in almost panic of why can't I just get this over the line and get going. I had so much in my head that I wanted to say, and I just couldn't get it out there. And there would always be a reason, or you'd always find a reason, like whether, I don't have time. There's no point starting because I don't have time to finish. I need to get a better microphone. I need to learn how to speak better. I need to learn how to edit. I need to do all this stuff. And all these things were just stopping me from just recording and getting my voice out there. And then this get over yourself kind of phrase kept coming back to me in my head. And then as I got further along with the journey, and I'd been using these excuses time and time again, you start to think, well, hold on a sec. I've now got a microphone. I've got all this stuff, and I'm doing the bits, and then I'm just finding new reasons not to start. And you realize it's not the stuff, it's not the equipment, it's not the training. It's the main thing for me was fear of judgment, fear of failure, maybe even fear of success, because you're thinking, what happens if thousands of people listen? What happens then? What do I do then? If I have a big show, what does that mean for me? So you're almost holding yourself back from success, as well as that fear of failure. And the fear of failure is kind of tied to the fear of judgment, because you're scared of failing because you're scared of what people will think of you if you fail. And the main thing I realize is, what does it matter what other people think of you, regardless? Because there's probably only a very small handful of people in your life whose opinion of you actually matters to you and your life, and that's probably your family, and not even your extended family, really, just your wife and your kids for me. And nothing else really impacts your life, and you realize that other people don't actually care. And if they do care, they care with kindness, and they care about you because they love you. And people who are having negative thoughts to you are doing so because of the problems they have and because of their insecurities, and it's not because of you. So anything you do, it doesn't really matter, as long as you're making yourself and your family happy, and as long as you're moving yourself in the positive direction, and you're trying to move yourself in the right direction, and your intent is in the right place, then that's all that really matters, because no one else actually cares. And along with that fear of judgment probably is tied to perfectionism as well. You'd constantly be trying to make something as good as possible because you're worried about what people think about it. So you didn't want to put something out there that was substandard. And you're not really going to get good at something unless you start. So if you're trying to start a podcast and you're thinking it's not good, even if you are recording and then listening back and not publishing it or whatever, that's a good thing if you are recording it, because it is practice. But putting it out there and getting the feedback, you might be recording and listening it to yourself and think that doesn't sound good, but you put it out there and somebody else might get a lot of value from it. And then you realize what is good and what is bad from the reaction you're getting from people. And until you put something out there, you're not going to get any feedback, and it's just your own judgment that's happening. So if you're striving for perfectionism and want to get it better, the only way is to start, is to practice, is to get stuff out there and then improve as you go. All these things just lead to procrastination, and procrastination is your biggest time waster. Now, when I record now, I'm looking at my process and how long it takes to record, edit, publish, produce, promote my podcast. And often the biggest time chunk is sat getting ready to record. And that's normally just procrastination, because I still get that, even though I've done hundreds of episodes now, I still get that fear and still start to second guess what this episode's about, what I'm doing. Part of it is kind of good because you're planning and you're trying to make the episode as good as possible. But part of it is just that procrastination stage of the faster I can get through the procrastination of an episode, the faster the episode will get made. And those time chunks of procrastination are often some of the biggest time chunks in the process. And that's tied to all those points, all that fear and perfectionism and everything like that. So if we can get that down out of everything we talk about in time saving in your podcast, yes, in future episodes, I'm going to give you lots of tips on editing and producing and publishing and all that great stuff, which will save you time and will help you with production. But your biggest chunk of time wasted is your procrastination stage. So if you can get over that and just hit record, then you're going to start actually getting podcasts out there. And even if they're not the best thing you could ever do at the beginning, it's a start, and you'll get better, and you'll get better faster because you're practicing, and you'll learn how to do it quicker and record a good episode straight away rather than having to go back and re-record. You'll have less mistakes in the episode that then you have to go back and edit. So it will reduce time on the editing stage if you practice and get better and get more confident in the beginning. If you're going out there spending loads of money on equipment, on a setup, on training, on all this type of stuff, you might start your podcast and realize you're not actually very good at this, or it doesn't actually work for what you're trying to do, and then you end up not doing a podcast at all. So the best thing you can do is start recording and see if it's for you first before you make the investment on all that equipment, so that you know you're actually buying it for something that is worthwhile long term. And if you are starting to buy equipment, you can start small and upgrade. You don't have to buy the best stuff straight away. Microphones under £100, like this Rode Pod mic, give you amazing sound. You don't have to go straight out and buy a £500 mic. You don't need to go and buy all the best setup and everything like that. You just need to get going. You can even buy secondhand. I've bought stuff off Facebook Marketplace that I'm still using today because it works perfectly. If you've got a budget, you're better off spending it on marketing than you are on the equipment, because you could spend all that money on equipment, get going, and then realize you want to pay an editor, then realize you want to pay for some ads and promoting the podcast, and then all of a sudden you've spent thousands of pounds on a podcast and you haven't even got anything back from it. So the best thing you can do is just get yourself out there, get talking, and you might find you're starting to get something back from it before you make some bigger investments. So I'm going to tell you how I did finally get over myself and get past that stage. It was a specific moment I remember when I just had my first child and I was holding my baby and trying to get him to sleep, and I started singing to him. And I'm not a good singer. I don't sing in public. I don't really like to kind of put myself out there and dance in public and things like that. So singing out loud was something kind of unusual to me, but I did it with no second thought. And I realised looking at this little baby that that's potentially the first time I've looked at someone with zero thoughts about what they're thinking about me, zero thoughts about their judgment on me, because this is a baby and they have no judgment on you. And in that moment, I realised that no one else's judgment matters. All that mattered in that moment was that I was trying to make my child happy and trying to get him to sleep. And that led me to the thought of whose judgment am I worrying about, and why is it important? And realising that it's not. And the only people that I really care about are my family. And the only people whose judgment really matters is my family, because they're the people I'm responsible for. And anyone else's judgment is kind of irrelevant to my life and me and how it affects me. So why have I spent 40 years worrying about what people think about me and letting that affect what I do and how I live my life? And then that phrase, get over yourself, came back to me. And it was a case of the only person stopping me is me. And there's no reason I should be in my own way, because no one, all the people I'm worried about judging me, they're not stopping me. And they're not actually judging me. I'm just thinking they're judging me. So it's only me that's getting in my own way. So that phrase, get over yourself, came back to me, and it was like, yeah, just get over yourself and do what you want to do and achieve what you want to achieve, and go out there, get your voice out there. And even if it sounds terrible, if it's rubbish, if it's embarrassing, who cares? Because I carried that thought with me. If I'm saying this to my son and now my sons, they wouldn't judge me. Anything I do, they would think was amazing. So if I carry that thought out every time I hit record, that I'm saying this to my sons or for my sons, and if they were listening, they'd be proud of me and they'd be impressed that I am recording a podcast. I'm speaking on a microphone, and sometimes now the kids are older, I do some recording with them and they love it. And that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what someone you went to school with thinks about what you're doing with your life when you're in your 40s. It just doesn't. And what you find is when you start, and what happened to me, all you get from people is support. People that you're thinking, oh, they might laugh at me. And if you're thinking about friends, they're friends for a reason. And if they are your friends, they will come with support and guidance and help and love. And if they don't, then they're probably not people you want to be friends with. And I found when I started, that's all I got was support. I wasn't getting judgment. I was getting people saying, oh, you're so brave to do this. I wish I could do something like that. And these are people that I would never expected didn't have the courage to put themselves out there and do something like that. They're people that you think, that you thought they are doing whatever they want to do, and they're not worried about judgment. But then that's when you realize so many people are living their lives worried about judgment. And when you get to that stage and you get yourself out there, it just comes with that support and love and no judgment. And then you find opportunities will arise because you are out there, you're talking about your passions, you're trying to help people. And even if one person listens, they may know someone that they'll then pass whatever you're looking to do on, and an opportunity may arise. And then each episode you improve, your self-belief grows, and you become better at it, and your podcast becomes better, and you can create something, and you can get to where you want to be just by getting over that initial hump and just hitting record and getting over yourself and starting. And it's not about confidence. I used to think confidence was a huge thing you needed in life for many, many things. And it was often something that was talked about, that you need confidence in life, and the most successful people are confident. I used to try and be confident, and I almost built up this kind of fake confidence where I was pretending to be confident and acting confident when I actually wasn't. But then everyone thinks you're confident because you can kind of put on a front. But if you're not actually confident, it doesn't bring you anything. It doesn't matter. It's just false. It's fake. And then I realized what confidence isn't actually that important. And what is important is courage. And with courage comes confidence, because you need the courage to do something. You need the courage to put yourself out there. You need the courage to hit record. And it doesn't matter how confident you are. And sometimes people don't actually like confidence because it can be seen as arrogance. Whereas courage is much more relatable because you can pass that courage on to people and help them do what they want to do. So hit record. You never know where it might take you, but I can tell you one thing for definite. If you don't hit record, it's not going to take you anywhere. If you need more help with your podcast, hit the link in the description. Go to elephantmedia.co where you can book a free strategy call with me and I'll help you with your podcast. So I hope this was useful and I'll see you in the next one.